Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bachelor in Paradise post-show live chat discussion with me, Bachelor Fantake. Hi, everyone. As usual, just while we're getting ready and people are streaming in, for anyone who's watching this after the fact, don't worry, we're going to have recaps and everything like that. The preview breakdown coming up soon enough. This is a space where we're just going to be chatting about the show that happened, and we're going to get our live off the cuff reaction. And we only have two rules here, even though we're getting right down to the very end. No spoilers, no outright spoilers. Obviously, we're going to be talking about everything that happened on the show, but no spoilers from future episodes. Sleuthing is always encouraged. And the other rule is just to be kind to each other. So let's talk about the show. Here from India. Awesome. Welcome to the chat. I'm actually watching live for once. I'm on the West Coast. West Coast. Yeah, have you seen the episode though? Are you sure you want to? I wouldn't be offended if you jumped out because we're going to be talking about everything. And there's only two more episodes of Paradise to go. I was kind of feeling out what the heck was going on with Dancing with the Stars and everything. Um, But it looks like what's going to be happening is an episode tomorrow and then an episode on Tuesday in a week. So the finale will not be tomorrow. The finale will be on Tuesday. Is it the 17th? Um, and then Dancing with the Stars will be on Monday, and there won't be Bachelor in Paradise. So, so yeah, yeah. Ding Dong and Blake is gone. Yes. So Blake and Christina, that whole debacle, that whole whatever the heck was going on is done. They have decided to end things, or rather, Christina decided, and Blake has finally had enough. So they're done. I'm not surprised when all through the entire time that they were quote unquote uh, together, um, Christina was not looking happy at all. Blake, when he tried to like kiss her on the shoulder or anywhere, she was just looking extremely disconnected. I'm not surprised at all. It's hard. It's hard to build a relationship off of all that foundation of trust that they had. You know, and not. I mean, like a lot of it on Blake's side, some of it on Christina's side too. Like, didn't she come into the show being like, I'm gonna make Blake my bitch"? Was this like her long con? I don't believe so. I think she was truly deciding on whether or not she wanted to give it a go. But yeah, I'm not surprised they didn't work out. Yeah, this is how it was supposed to end with them. Do you like Dylan and Hannah? I mean, I think they are the easiest couple through this whole season. I like them. I do. I personally think, like, it seems to me that Dylan's a little bit more invested. I mean, it could be that Hannah is just not quite as um, emotionally expressive as he is, but I think they are the strongest bet to get engaged. I mean, we've sleuthed out at least two engagements, and by far the most solid one is Dylan and Hannah. Um, and they seem to after that first few those first few weeks where they had the Blake drama and the will they won't they, who's she gonna pick, it's been real smooth sailing. So will Clay find love in Bachelor in Paris? So they're definitely going to make it. We've seen from the preview last week that Clay and Angela make it to the very end, to the spot where they're on the beach, and sometimes there's a proposal. Sometimes they say I love you, and let's leave paradise together as a committed couple. Sometimes they just leave together as a committed couple. Usually, um, at least on the American version, they get to that commitment ceremony, and it's either it's an engagement, or they leave together before that. I mean, not always, but usually. Oh, did I say? Did I say? Oh, jeez, Clay and Angela. Yikes! Yikes! Yeah, this is what happens when you edit a video, and include 17 references of Clay saying Angela in in that video. So, Peter officially announced? No, there's been no official announcement for Bachelor yet. I imagined that that's going to happen in the finale. Whenever, like, I guess we probably won't find out for sure till the 17th, the last episode. Um, so they'll do whatever they're gonna do. They're after the final rose segment or whatever, where they bring the couples back on and talk about how's it been since your engagement, or since you decided to leave together, or since you decided to break up. Um, and and then they'll announce who the Bachelor is. There's been no official announcement yet, but a lot of people are suddenly getting on the idea that it's going to be Peter. So it's pretty assumed by most people at this point. And when everyone starts to like concede that it's Peter, and even like you're looking at people who on Twitter are posting things like Mike for Bachelor, and then they suddenly post things like Mike's my Bachelor, and I'm he'll always be my Bachelor. You kind of go, okay, but there's been no official announcement yet. Why did Dean come on the show? Didn't he once say that the show was fake? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you would come on the show even after having a tough time on it before. For exposure, and for, so like some people do, like they are interested in other people from the show, and they are looking to have a relationship. I mean, there are relationships that do happen on the show. People do get married, have babies. So, but fantasy suites tomorrow. It looks like it. So we're getting down to the wire. It seems that there's going to be fantasy suites tomorrow, or it's at least going to get to the point where the couples have to decide whether or not they're going to stay together. So what it looks like what's going to happen tomorrow is every time in Paradise, it comes to this point where Chris Harrison arrives and he says, "Okay, if you're not in a couple now, you gotta go." I do believe there will also be a rose ceremony that will happen tomorrow, so probably pretty early on, and then they'll have to decide where all the couples are standing, and then we might at the end of the episode get some fantasy suites. And Fancy Pants, thank you so much for the super chat. What are your thoughts on JPJ's prom date? Has he redeemed himself? Okay, so the prom was pretty freaking adorable, right? And so JPJ was bothering me this past week, this past 2 weeks, I guess, and with everything with the wedding and with Derek, and he was a little bit of a yeah. And he's one of those guys where you'll get mad at him, and then he'll do something that's like really funny. Do you have anybody like this in your life where you get mad at them, and then they'll say something that's just so hilarious, and then you'll start laughing, and it's hard to stay mad at them? That's what this prom sort of thing was. It was things where you just like, you can't help uh but laugh and like him a little bit more again. So totally. Thanks. Sorry. Will you be my prom date? If you show me a prom like JPJ did, I'm there. I'm there. Though a surprising lack of nuggets, I will say, on the at prom, at JPJ's prom. Do you like Derek though? Yeah, and I think Derek was far more articulate uh, through the whole argument, and a little bit more mature in how he talked about it. So I'm not like saying, oh, JPJ, now I dislike Derek and now I'm against Derek. I think I think I think JPJ was acting out of um fear that he was going to lose Tasha, right? Are Tasha and JPJ together after Paradise? Will they stay? Thoughts. So, it appears to be that they are together after Paradise. In our preview breakdowns, we've been sleuthing out that there was these two Instagram posts where JPJ is on his boat and then Tasha is also on the same boat. And then Tasha later deleted that post. So it would appear that they're together after Paradise. Um, they have been kind of alluding to this like Tasha running around saying sorry. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a breakup. They love to throw in at the very end of Paradise, like even in the most solid couples, which isn't JPJ and Tasha, but even in the most solid couples, like we saw today with Demi and Christian, this kind of idea, ooh, there's some trouble brewing, and then turned out to be Demi sort of processing her being so public with Christian and seeing Christian so public about displays of affection and stuff like that. So there's it doesn't necessarily mean this you know I'm sorry thing from Tasha that it has to do with a breakup, because the sleuthing does appear to show that they are still together. So I think people don't realize Dean lives in his van by choice, not because he's broke, because he's definitely getting paid for influencer stuff. That he's not just homeless. Yeah, the whole like obviously Dean is not like a homeless guy who is forced to live in a van. He's someone who has decided that it would be cool to travel around the world or America or something, and in a van and live like not the mainstream lifestyle. But it's funny to like. I think a lot of people, most people, I would assume, when it comes to the van stuff, are just poking fun. Like oh, you live in a van, must be homeless, thus the mustache, that kind of stuff. It's good, at least when I'm saying stuff like that, it's meant to be light poking of fun. If you like, there's lots of people who will decide to, hey, I want to change in my life. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna drive across America, or I'm gonna take a bike and I'm gonna bike down to Mexico, something like that. Did Kaylin go? Yes. So Dean came, and Kaylin decided to leave with Dean. He said, "I'm just here to try and bring you with me. So you can either stay, still explore things with Connor, or come with me, but you have to leave." I'm considering van life. Yeah, I mean, hey. I mean, it's one of those things like there's people who will decide to go, what, I'm going to backpack across Europe, or I'm going to do like in one of those extreme marathons or something. It's kind of like a moment in your life where you decide I need to do this kind of stuff. Not saying that that Dean, it's like a phase thing necessarily, but sometimes people decide they want a sudden change. Happy Monday, everyone. Thanks, Kayla. Thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on Revian? Yeah, I there's not many thoughts to be had on Revian. She kind of came in at the worst possible time, and the only real person who was available for a date was Connor, who just got dumped. So, and then she got like absolutely no screen time after that. Um, and and so yeah, I think it's just tough luck, right? Or the producers just decided, okay, we're gonna throw her in here at the end, and sucks for her. Yeah, where did Revian come from? Yeah, she night one Colton season. She was eliminated. No one could get her name right. So poor Revian. But that's kind of how it just always is at the end of Paradise, right? People like it happens pretty much every year that someone comes in very late, and unless they're a very specific person, it just kind of fizzles out, right? Unless there's someone who is there that is in a couple but had always been saying, "Oh, I wish this one person was there," or had been in a relationship with someone before and is still hung up on them, and then they show up in Paradise. These late game additions rarely work out well for them or for themselves. Yeah, like what's the point? It has to be a really specific person. Yeah, poor Sydney. She yeah seems like quality. Yeah, and then and then completely snubbed for prom by Matt Donald. So I'm guessing I'm guessing that's not going to work out. Um, and we did see in the preview for this week, at the end of last week's episode, that there's a shot. Looks like it's at a rose ceremony. Sydney is crying, and I gotta think that there's a rose ceremony next episode where Sydney goes home, and then we get into the talk of, okay, fantasy suite time, because there's at least going to be one more rose ceremony to even everything out, and then have the last few couples. But there's only two more episodes. I mean, I know it's 4 hours, 2 hours each, but there's a lot still to be done. Do you think these night one people are coming on because other contestants said no? I think um, a lot of these night one contestants are coming on because at one point Chris Harrison said this was the largest cast of Paradise they've ever had. So I think they were trying to beef up Paradise, make it the biggest one ever. So I think that's a large factor as to why. I believe I'm thinking with this extra episode on Tuesday, that's also an additional episode. They were trying to maybe also fill. They ordered an extra episode, so they're trying to fill some time. But yeah, I can't wait to watch it tonight. Is Blake and Christina still a thing? Um, I mean, I guess if you're here, you're here for spoilers. They I'll give you 5 seconds to leave, but no, no, they are not. They end of the episode they broke up. Well, Christina dumped Blake. I can't see how Katie and Chris go from where they are now to an engagement. That would be a fast move from the first "I love you" from Chris. Yeah, a lot goes really fast in the next little time there. I think there's a lot of pressure um, to have an engagement, and it's, I mean, part of it's like producer pressure, I'm sure, but there's also an expectation in Paradise that once you get to this point, you start talking about engagement and you go, oh, okay, and you're looking at each other, and there's a lot of like Paradise, this feeling of Paradise. I've heard other contestants talk about they get swept away. You don't have your phones. You don't have anything other than each other. So, and you're in this beautiful setting with all these amenities and fancy dates. So, kind of get swept away in the feeling of it. And Fancy Pants, thank you so much for the super chat. Who came out on top, Christina or Blake? Um, well, I think Christina came out on top. I think Blake. There's I think just about everyone came out on top over Blake this season. I think if anyone of everyone, yeah, Blake, biggest fall from grace and probably the most vilified person um, coming out of the season after all the stagecoach stuff and how they've sort of framed him. It seems every episode he just gets dumped on a little bit. Uh, there's always like some joke or horrible shot of him where he looks weird and some quirky music or something. And no matter what you think about Blake, definitely definitely he's come out the worst for this whole season, not just in the relationship. So Christina, I personally don't think she came out looking great this season either. Um, for different reasons, obviously, but yeah, Christina was someone who I like with everything that happened with her and Dean before. Christina was um very I really liked Christina. I wanted her to find love, and she was a little bit off her rocker, a little bit out of her sorts this season. Do you think they tried to give him a redemption with Christina? I think he was trying to give himself a redemption with Christina there. Now I do believe that a part of him earnestly believed the things that he was saying and felt these things. I think that's because I don't think he was just lying, straight up lying to the camera, but I believe there was a bit of a, he saw Christina and felt strong things for her, not just because it was Christina, but because this was a redemption. So, Blake as Bachelor in the future? Don't think so. You know what? If you had said that going into the season, I could have said, you know what? Possibility. Blake was very loved, very liked, runner up on Becca's season, and that all went downhill the very first episode of Paradise. But could we see them again? Absolutely. See them again in Paradise? I wouldn't be surprised. And you never know, because some people like they were that were on this season of Paradise were not on last season, but they were on a season before. So just because if you do miss a season of Paradise doesn't mean you won't be back again for a future one. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm sure there'll be lots to discuss on the after the final rose. There's going to be a lot of people apart, like from the couples that are still going to be either getting engaged or whatever it is breaking up in the last little bit. We'll hear all about them. We're gonna also hear from Blake and Christina, Dean and Kaylin, Derek, pretty much all the major players of the season who've gone. We're gonna be hearing from them for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they also bring out Jordan and Christian, you know, uh, again, because that'll be drama, right? Are you Team Dean or Team Connor? uh, I mean, I guess Connor. Like, I, you know, for 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 Kaylin, she obviously liked Dean way more, and it was kind of funny watching her when Dean was talking. Like she had this sort of serious look on her face, but also this little bit of a smile. And so you're like, okay, yeah, no, she's super into Dean. Um, who would I like rather hang out with? Probably Connor. I mean, you know, Mr. Sticky Note. Yeah, who I'd rather hang out with the pineapple, the kissing pineapple for Matt Donald. To Connor again, like you did with a cold. I don't know if I can. My cold's pretty much gone for the most part. Yeah. So Dean lives in a van. It worked better when I was like automatically 2 octaves lower. Yeah. Okay. I know. Way could I listen to Connor talk? Yeah. Well, sorry about that. Um. But yeah. But what I mean more is that like I don't know. I feel like if I wanted to grab a beer with someone, it would be more fun. I'd get along better with Connor as a person. Yeah, Team Dean for Kaylin. I do see, like, I mean, Connor was a safe choice, but she definitely wasn't as invested in him. There's also pics of Instagram of Hannah and Dylan, so we know they probably get engaged. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, that's been the my solid lock for like really pretty much from the very beginning. It was sleuthed out because of the what they were wearing in that engagement shot. So not surprised there. Not surprised there at all that they get engaged. And it's someone's birthday in chat, Katie. For a second, I thought you're talking about Katie from the show, but happy birthday, Katie. I would have a beer. Yeah, I would have a beer with anyone. Yeah, I mean, if anyone from the show was like, "Hey, let's grab a beer to chat," I'd be so intrigued to like. I'd have so many questions. What couples do you think will break it off? Quoted something like that from Chris Harrison on tomorrow's preview. Um, that's so. There's still like there's a lot of couples that are not, I guess, strong. And I guess what I mean by that is that they're not in a place where they're ready to go to the section of paradise where you're getting really serious. You go into the fantasy suites. So I'm thinking like Matt Donald and whoever. That's a couple that will break off. Angela and Chase. That's a couple who could break it off. Um, there's going to be like a lot of break offs or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, that are not really surprising and not really one of the major couples, one of the major players. We're going to see that. Yeah, Sydney. Though I think Sydney will go home from a rose ceremony based off of what we see in the preview. Yeah, who is coupled up with Lucas, Haley and whatever Luke or I don't know. Yeah, producers are going to be extra tricky next year. They are getting trickier with some of the like the fake engagements they've thrown in there. Like they've been tricky before. Like with Colton, they completely filmed a fake engagement uh ceremony or whatever you want to call it. Um, so they've been tricky before, but we'll keep our eyes out. So Blake should have taken his chance with Bree while he had it. Yeah, so I did have that thought. Like, I mean, I think it would have been a little bit too much. The optics of it would have been pretty rough. Of like Christina going and then him being like, "Okay, Bree, what about that drink we never had?" Right? But yeah, I think it was the right move for him to just get out of there at that time. I'm all in for Dylan and Hannah. Yeah, they're gonna go the distance. Do you think Demi and Christian will get engaged? I'm too convinced after tonight's episode. I'm not too convinced. Yeah, well, we'll see. There is a shot. They do go the distance in terms of like making it to the very final part of the show where they walk down the beach. We've seen Demi walking down the beach in a dress, unless that is a filmed fake out, which I don't think it will be. So there's not going to be any sort of breakup or rough patch. Um, but I think a lot of my I guess I should say my hunch on tonight was that a lot of Demi's feelings had to do with more herself than Christian, and by that I mean I think it's a lot about her relationship with coming out on such a global stage. But I'll leave Demi to talk about that in future episodes and articles and interviews. Who do you wish would have been on the season that wasn't? Oh man, that's a great question. I'd have to really think hard about it. Like man, because there's been so many people I'm trying to, and there's so many people from Bachelor uh world, I guess, that it's hard to pick just one, and who wasn't there, and I'd probably have to I'll look back maybe at just the last seasons of Bachelor and Bachelorette and figure out who wasn't there, who I wish was. But most of the major players were there. Nick, yeah. Thoughts on Clay and Nicole staying together? Well, that we know they go to the right to the end, and then there's this Clay. Clay gets asked by Nicole if he loves her on the beach, right at that kind of commitment ceremony, last final rose phase. Which, even if he does say "I love you" and or whatever it is, and they have a happily ever after, even if they get engaged, it seems to me like if you're giving an ultimatum or asking someone if they love you at that stage in that way, it's not the greatest sign for your relationship. So and with how Clay handled everything with Angela on the show, I don't have the highest of hopes for them. Even if they do get on the whole after the final rose together and they're holding hands and they're lovey-dovey and everything, or they're engaged or whatever. Um, I mean, I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like the strongest foundation for the base of a relationship. Why do you think Luke P didn't go on Paradise? I don't think he was invited, and I don't think he would too. I don't. I think he also wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he would. It's hard to say that. Like with anyone from the show, of course, of course they'll go on the show, right? There's a lot of you get stuff you get being on the show, but I don't think he was asked. Yeah, I wonder if JPJ and Tasha break up, hence the I'm sorry, then get back together for after the final rose. Maybe. Certainly, the sleuthing has shown that they are still together. So maybe, maybe. Do you think that if they had a same-sex bachelor slash bachelorette, that the contestants might date each other? Uh, I think I don't think they would, right? It would I mean, I'm thinking it would be a bad look, right? But maybe I don't know. I don't. You know what? We'd have to make that happen to find out. So go message the producers. What happens with Chris and Katie? I'm so stressed. I think they get engaged. We have a couple of shots. We really only have two shots that are confirmed engagements. We have this one, which is Hanna and Dylan, and this one, which I believe is Chris and Katie. And I do believe there's someone tweeted me today saying something like they're sure that this second one is Chris and Katie now, because you can't see it in this shot, but on his other hand, he has like a watch, and I think they saw that watch on Chris. Someone tweeted me that, so I haven't double checked it, but usually when people tweet at me stuff like that, they know I will check it, so it's usually pretty good. Pretty good evidence. So, but we've sort of speculated that this was most likely Chris and Katie. So, I mean, otherwise, who is it? Like JPJ and Tasha, which I don't think it is. I think the dude's hand is not pale enough to be JPJ. How often do you tweet? I usually just tweet during the live streams, and then I tweet to whenever a video comes out, and occasionally, rarely, something else as well. Like I'm watching something Bachelor related, yada yada yada, or there's an update or something that I need to get out. South Africa Bachelor is on. There's Bachelor Australia. I do live tweet during the show. I do. You can follow me. I still have this old at Bachelor Fantake with Luke P there. I do. Do you follow all the Twitter memes during Bachelor in Paradise? Some of them I do. Some of them I do. Mostly the ones that randomly kind of come up on my feed. But I do see some of them. Some of them are hilarious. Really, really hilarious. It's part of the fun. It's part of the fun of being online during the show, is seeing how other people react to everything that's happening. So we are going to get to the last little bit of the stream tonight. So if you have your questions, any last questions before we head off and the whole thing starts up again tomorrow, get them in now. How long have you been doing YouTube? So I officially started this channel in November. of last year, with the intent to do the recaps and everything. And then I did a couple of videos and was kind of figuring out the technology and everything before that, and then started up the recaps and preview breakdowns in January of this year. Wait, people speculate that Luke P may be the next Bachelor. I think those people are just trolls. They're just fooling you. Did you see the memes of Blake kissing Christina's shoulder? No, but I'm can already envision them in my mind because I was probably having the same thoughts every time he did that. Why didn't the women like Mike Johnson? I don't know. I don't know. They just a lot of the women that he ended up with had someone else came in that they were more interested in, and he kind of just got caught in the second lane, I guess. I don't know. Who do you want to be Bachelor? I have always been Team Mike personally. Um, Peter, if he's the Bachelor, I'm gonna be just as much involved watching the show. I'm not gonna be like upset with Peter. How do you think tomorrow night's episode will go? What kind of layout? So we for sure have to have. I'm guessing with the amount of time that we have left, and then after the final rose to happen on next Tuesday. So we have two episodes. The one on Tuesday, the 17th, is going to be a finale where they do. I'm guessing for the episode, they'll do something like they'll start showing engagements and then cut in between, like they've been doing the last few seasons of okay, like let's see where this show left off, and then this person goes to get engaged, and then we'll like bring them out, and then we'll go back to the show and do something like that. So in the next episode, what needs to happen is a bunch of people need to get eliminated. There needs to be a rose ceremony, and then they need to start getting serious about Fantasy Suites. So that will either get discussed, and possibly, depending on how the time works out, we'll see some of those. So hug the dogs for us, absolutely, absolutely, I will. You all have no idea, but Jackson is literally right here in the room with us right now. He's lying down next to me. Yeah. Team Mike. Yeah, there's a lot of people. They've been some people like also Derek has been in the picture, but I think he has no chance. Um, if Blake and Christina left at the same time, they probably traveled together. That well, I yeah, yeah, and that's probably awkward. That flight home. Maybe maybe they found a way to separate. I'm sure. Do you watch any other Bachelor reviewing YouTube channels? Uh, so I don't always have time to, but there are some other ones. I think last week I talked about like PMO Productions. I think it's pretty funny. Um, Kaylin leave with Dean? Absolutely. I got no prom. Contact JPJ. He knows what to do. Why no Derek? Reasoning? I think it's too late. I think he doesn't have the following. Um, and like I just look at it him versus Peter, and I think they will choose like he just is the option. He's got a bigger social media following, and a bigger connection to Hannah Brown's season. So that's my guess. You should do Dancing with the Stars recaps. The only reason I'm not, well, not the only reason, but one big reason I'm not is that the music is way too copyrighted. I think it would just be a bit of a nightmare. I mean, maybe I could make it work, but uh, with the whole thing being about music, it's just I don't know. It seems like a bit of a minefield. Even it is possible and everything is like legal to do everything like that, no problem. It just seems like a headache to get everything done right. So I don't think I will. But maybe I'll do one something on just Hanna at some point with Dancing with the Stars. So that's going to be it for this live stream. We have 2 more episodes of Bachelor in Paradise to go. So that means 2 more live streams, and then we're in the off season. So don't worry, I'm still going to have some content coming out here and there, and then it's only a couple of short months before Bachelor starts again, so we'll be back to everything as it is. So thank you all for joining the live stream. It's awesome talking to you. Seeing familiar faces who come in every night is awesome. And we'll be back tomorrow with another live stream and the second last episode of Bachelor Paradise. So until then, Bachelor Fantake out.